second chance in the game.
My name is Jonathan Gess. I'm a head coach here at Eagles Landing Christian Academy here in McDonough, Georgia. We're about 25 miles south of Atlanta. And so the first part of my presentation is going to be about offensive philosophy and how I got to that point. I started being a head coach in 2007, and I had some ideas about offense, I had some ideas about defense, but it took me a long time to coach, to learn from my mistakes, to really understand my philosophy and develop a philosophy. So most important thing I think for all of us coaches is to understand this. We're going to be successful when we have a great administration and a great coaching staff. Can't do it on our own. You know, I spent a few years trying to do it on my own, and that was just kind of how my school worked. You know, I didn't have a lot of assistance. I didn't have a lot of help, and we struggled. Over the years, I stayed, and we got more coaches, and the administration got on board, and as that happened, we've had more and more success. And I believe in the philosophy behind football. I believe in developing young men or young boys to be men. And I think you got to have a process to do that. And I want to briefly talk about our process, what we do, and how that is interwoven with trying to create a championship football team. So you see this right here. We talk about faster football, and I'll talk more about that in a minute. But look at our overall plan to win. At the bottom, you see demand excellence, and that's your character. And I think you coach that. No, you must coach that every single day. You must get your parents to buy into that. If your parents aren't demanding excellence from your children, from their children, it's going to be really hard for you to demand excellence, even though we must. And you look at the core principles that we talk with our team about every day, and we hold them accountable to these. Taking ownership. Don't blame anybody else for your problems. These translate first and foremost in their everyday life. But think about these as a football player. You know, I think about take ownership. I want the kids to take ownership in the classroom. I want them to take ownership as leaders. I want them to take ownership when they're at a party and everybody's doing wrong. But I want them to take ownership on that football field too. And if we lost, I don't want a bunch of people or a bunch of kids that are pointing the finger. I want a bunch of kids that are rallying behind each other and they're taking ownership for their failures and understanding if I fix my failures, we're a better team. And then some of the other key character traits that we talk about, being courageous. And that's not like, oh man, I'm gonna go knock the guy's head off, no fear of the football game. Courageous to me is there's a party and everybody's doing drugs and you leave the party. Everybody's doing wrong and you choose to do right. That's courageous behavior because that's hard for high school kids to do. That's hard for adults to do. Be thankful. That's something all kids struggle with. That's something all adults struggle with. Be thankful. Be appreciative for what you have and where you are. Have integrity. You know, I define integrity as doing what's right when no one's watching. But you know what? We got to define what's right. Because what's right for me might not be what's right for that young man over there. If he doesn't have any money and he sees $50 laying on the ground that's not his, he might think it's right to take that $50 so he can get to himself something. But we know that's not right. We have to define what right is for our players. And for me as a Christian, it's easy. What does the Bible say? You know, what's the Bible say if that $50 is laying there? It says serve your brothers and serve other people. Count yourself as insignificant. One I love as a football coach is steadfast. That's unwavering, unmovable, consistent. And that's what we want, right? Respectful. People who respect authority, they go in the classroom, they respect their teachers. That's a critical one. So they come out there on the football field, they respect their coaches and what we're trying to teach them. They respect their parents. They respect their peers. They respect women. Humble. You know, who don't want a humble football player? Serve the team. Die to yourself, right? Pride cometh before the fall. You have to be humble. Loyal. Loyal is a word we don't talk about in our culture anymore. Loyal to the team. Life is bigger than you. And that just goes back to serving your team. Discipline. It takes great discipline to practice hard each day, to pay attention in class each day, to do your homework each day, to do right. And then you carry that over to the football field. We ask on defense, we ask our linebackers to read the guards. We ask each player's got a key. You got to be disciplined. So those are the things that we talk about every single day. And then the next stage, so that's laying a great foundation. That's something we talk about every day. The next stage is win the day. And this is stuff that it's character traits, but it really doesn't have much to do with being thankful and respectful. And a lot of great athletes are going to do these things. But if you're going to be the best athlete you can be, you got to be committed every day. You got to be consistent. You got to do it with intensity. You must execute well, and you must be focused on your execution, and you must persevere, because you're not always going to have success. You can't quit. You can't stop. You got to keep working. I love the quote right here. My attitude determines my effectiveness. I am in control of my attitude. I tell my players all the time, I'm not asking you to come to practice on Monday and Tuesday with a big smile on your face. I'm asking you to come with the attitude of work and get better. And then the next thing is we get into our weightlifting, athlete development philosophy, which is one step faster. Pretty simple, right? You can't go from a 5 flat to a 4.5. You can't do it. But can you go from a 5 flat to a 4.8 over your 4-year career? That's one step faster. Think about this on the football field. What if all my guys, 11 guys, are running one step faster? Well, the football field is 53 yards wide. If 11 guys run one step faster, they say one step is 2 yards. Okay? Well, that's 6 feet. Okay? That is 66 feet, all right, of a better football team. And so that's what it's all about. We're going to work hard each and every day to the best of our ability to get one step faster. That's what our program's all about. And then here we get into faster football, which is what we're talking about. But I just wanted to go through the process. And I'm going to talk a little in more detail about faster football, but you see it right there, attention to detail. And this is going to drive my philosophy as an offensive football coach. Attention to detail, okay? Repetition. I believe in repetition. You are what you repeatedly do. Excellence, therefore, is not an act, but it is a habit. I believe in that. Singleness of purpose, man. You come out there with a mindset to get better and focus on what you're doing. Competitive excellence, man. Every single rep, compete. That's what that means. Undivided dedication. Remove all distractions. And so then you get into win, and this is where you really have a special team. But if you don't have that foundation of demand excellence, you're never going to get these character traits. A team that loves, believes, trusts, is unified, and serves each other. I call this warriors. And man, it is a grind to get your team to that point. And it could be a 2, 3, 4, 5-year process to get to your team to that point. And as you look at this chart right here, as you see over here, you got the 4 stages of team: storming, forming, norming, performing. That's on the right. At the beginning of the year, you're storming, you're trying to figure everything out. Kids are getting to know each other. They're growing, and they're performing, and the goal is to perform. And then over there on the left, there's constant everyday attacks to your team. We call it creeping softness. As a Christian, I call it sin. But pride creeps in, all right? Undisciplined behavior creeps in. Bad attitudes creep in, and that's a destructive force to your team, right? We watched New York Giants with OBJ. A great athlete, great talent, but he destroyed the locker room. That's creeping softness. You got to be aware of those things as a football coach. You got to be aware of what's going on in your locker room. Your best player, talent-wise, cannot destroy your locker room, or he will destroy your team. So, and then some overarching things right there. I always pray Psalm 32:8. Teach me and instruct me in the way that I should go. Counsel me with your eye upon me. What does this mean? Well, for me, it means I don't have all the answers, but I serve a God who does. And I pray to Him each and every day to lead and guide me and show me. And then G2:20 is Galatians 2:20. That's kind of my life verse, and I love it for my football team as well. I have been crucified with Christ. It's no longer I who live, but it's Christ who lives in me. And the life I now live, I live by faith in the Son of God who loved me and died for me. So what does that mean? Well, as a Christian, I'm to die to my sinful self, and I'm to serve Christ and live for others and live for the advancement and the prosperity of other people, not myself. Put myself second. Tell me how that's not great for me as a football coach preaching to my players. Die to yourself, boys. Hey, running back, don't worry about how many times you get the football. Hey, receiver, don't worry about how many times you get the football. Hey, quarterback, don't worry about how many times you throw the football. Focus on your job, your assignment, and receiver. If that's blocking, do it to serve your running back. Hey, running back, if we don't throw a lot this game and we got to pass, block and serve your wide receiver. So I love that verse. I can't make all my players believe in Jesus Christ. I wish I could, and I wish they all could, take that on G220. It's a war. I'm a believer in Jesus Christ. I preach Jesus Christ. But not all my players believe in Jesus Christ, and I don't have a rule. If you don't believe in Jesus, you can't play. My rule is if you're good, you can play. But we got to learn how to serve each other and love each other. All right, and as a football coach, I think this is a critical challenge. That's the word I was looking for. A critical challenge to us. Take ownership. I read this Bible verse in 2 Samuel 23, 3 and 4, and I was like, man, that every coach should have this on his wall, whether he's a believer or not. When one rules justly over men, ruling in the fear of God, he dawns on them like the morning light. Now think about that. The morning light. There's darkness, and all of a sudden the sun comes up. All right, and everything is bright. Now, we can do that with our players. We can dawn on them like morning light. We can show them everything is dark and they don't understand. They're hopeless, and we're the people who can show them the truth and show them how to be successful and give them a vision for success in life. A great leader is like the sun shining forth on a cloudless morning. I don't know if you've ever looked up at the sun at maybe 11 o'clock or 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock, and that sun is beaming down. There's no clouds. You can't even look at the sun. It's so bright. It almost hurts your eyes. Man, we can be that brightness in a young man's life, like the rain that makes grass to sprout from the earth. I know in the summertime, really in the spring, it hadn't rained for a few days, and all of a sudden, man, it rains. Well, you go home and your grass is 4 inches higher. Like, oh my goodness, how did this happen? Well, that's what we want to do with our boys, right? We want to help them grow, and we want to help them grow as fast as they possibly can. And we're the fertilizer, and we're the rain, okay? And so that's what a leader can do for his players. And I look at every player that comes across, and even every coach, this is potential right here. These dots that you see, this is potential. And you got to look at your team as this. And it seems like just a bunch of dots doesn't mean anything. And in fact, with poor leadership, this is what the dots look like. It's absolute chaos, There's no direction. There's no leadership. Kids are left to themselves. They have no direction. They don't know where they're going. They're chasing this. They're following the ways of the world. The social media is telling them to do this. The foolishness of the world is telling them to do this. And they're just running, and nobody's leading them in the right direction. And this is what their life looks like. For a lot of us, this is what our life looks like as well. Absolute chaos. But this is what happens when you connect the dots. When? Trust in the Lord with all your heart and do not lean on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge Him, and He will make straight your paths. Man, left to myself, I'm chaos. I'll go back to that slide right there. That's me. I'm chaos. By myself, in my flesh, in my sinful flesh, I'm chaos. I'll turn my family into chaos. I'll turn my football into chaos. You know why? Because it'll be all about me. All right, and that's destructive. But this is my goal. I want a winning family. I want a winning football team. I want winning players. I want winning coaches. And I want to help those guys become winners. And now when I'm talking about winning, I'm not necessarily talking about winning a football game. I'm talking about winning in life and being the very best you that God created you to be. All right? And so you guys that are coaching, I want you to understand it's a battle and it's a war. And I always go to practice, and this image comes up to me once or twice at practice. I feel like I'm a cowboy herding cattle. And, I don't know if you can see my cursor over here, but you can see up there in the right-hand corner those cows getting out of line. And that's how I feel like at practice. That's what I feel like. But if we just let them keep getting out of line, sometimes at school they get out of line. If we keep letting them go and nobody brings them back in, then we're not doing our job. So we have to understand our job is just not X's and O's. Our job is keeping the cattle together, keeping the thing moving forward. And it's not just what you're dealing with out there at the practice field. It's what you're dealing with in the classroom and supporting your teachers, supporting your principals, getting your parents to buy into the leadership building process. And it is a grind. That's probably the hardest part of coaching. The X's and O's is fun. The day-to-day grind of managing players, getting parental buy-in, dealing with the teachers, that is what usually drives people out of coaching. All right, so get more into the details of coaching, the discipline of a champion. And I live by this, and you don't have to agree, but this is what we've done to have success here. Number one, have a simple plan of execution in which you believe, okay? You can't do everything. You can't run the wing tee, the triple option, the spread, Tony Franklin, throw it all the time. You can't do all those things, and you can't blend them together. Who are you? You got to have a plan, and you got to know what you like, and you got to know what you feel you can be good at. You got to know what your team and your players can do. Develop that plan and tweak and change it as necessary, but then you got to believe in it, and you got to attack it every single day. Number two, commit to your plan with consistency. You got to commit to it, man. You can't go out there and practice power for a week and be like, oh no, we can't do this. You got to keep doing it. You got to realize, man, it's not about where you are week 1, it's about where you are week 20. And you keep chopping wood and keep getting better at it. Number 3, execute your plan with intensity, okay? Execute your plan with intensity. When you go to practice, and I always tell our kids this, our practice Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday should be more intense and more pressure-packed than the game on Friday night. And then number 4, persevere unto the end. And persevere unto the end, you're going to have failure. You're not always going to have success. You're going to get beat. You're going to go to practice and it's going to feel like a giant waste of time. You're going to have a kid that gets suspended on game day. You're going to have a teacher that comes to you telling you that your best player is a moron in the classroom and that he should be kicked out of school. There's all these things. And I always say, man, just keep working. Just keep working. I'm talking to myself. Just persevere. Chop wood. I'm not going to give up on these boys until the school removes them from me. So that's a discipline of a champion. I have this big up on my wall so I don't forget it. All right? I'm big on this right here. So this is driving my philosophy. So if you were to come to watch me practice and he practiced power 25 times a day. Yep, because I believe in this. We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, therefore, or then is not an act but a habit. When I first read that, it was attributed to Vince Lombardi. And then some really smart person comes up to me and he says, Vince Lombardi didn't say that. Aristotle said that. And I'm like, well, you think I know who Aristotle is? I mean, I did hear about him in high school once or twice, but then I thought it was funny because I'm looking up the quote, and now they're attributing the quote to Shaquille O'Neal. Well, you and I know Shaquille O'Neal didn't make this quote up, but, that's kind of how the world works. 100 years from now, it's going to be Shaquille O'Neal. It's not going to be Vince Lombardi, and everybody's going to forget who Aristotle was. All right, so here, a plan to win. I think this is critical for coaches. I sat down 3 or 4 years ago, and I wanted to put my whole offensive philosophy, defensive philosophy, and special teams philosophy on a single piece of paper. I didn't want a 200-page notebook that nobody's going to look at, me included. I wanted to know who I was and what I believed in as a head football coach on one page. And yeah, I could write 5 pages about each little thing. But faster football, fanatical effort, okay? Attack, simple, tough, execute, relentless. That's what we believe in. That's what we talk about all the time. There's 3 things that my overarching philosophy as a head coach. Number 1, we are going to play great defense. Okay? I think defense wins championships. We're going to play great defense. Our best football players are going to play defense. Well, coach, you got a player that's going to Georgia to play wide receiver. He can play wide receiver at Georgia for 5 years, 4 years if you don't get redshirted. He's going to play corner for me. Okay? And he's going to get the ball. But first and foremost, he's going to be defense. And where does he get his rest? He's going to get his rest on offense. Why? Because we're not going to lose the game on special teams. He's going to play special teams too. Okay? How many times have you kicked the ball, kicked it to the 10-yard line, and get it returned on you? What did we try to do offensively? We try to get the ball to an athlete in space. Well, what do we try to do defensively? Not let that athlete get the ball in space. Then what mistake do we make on special teams? We kick it to that athlete in space. It's crazy. I don't, okay? If you're an athlete, I'm not kicking you the ball. And if you got 11 athletes out there, I'll probably just kick it out of bounds. But you're not going to get that ball in space and get a chance to score. Now, we are going to attack and get after you, but I got to put my best 11 guys on special teams. And then number 3, we're going to be physical on offense. You know, we do a lot of eye candy. We do a lot of shifts, a lot of motions, a lot of different formations, but we're going to be physical on offense. Power is what we think is our base play, and we embrace that because it's a physical football play. As we talk every single day, we talk about the 3 things that are 3 goals. I don't have a goal board that I keep track of every single week, like, hey, let's rush for 400 yards or 300 yards. I feel like those are a distraction because, you know, I might have to throw for 300 yards and rush for 100 because they put 8 guys, 9 guys in the box, and we can't run, but they're single covering our best wide receiver. We're going to throw the ball to him. Or they might be double covering our best wide receiver, and they're going to let me run the ball all night long. So I don't have these goals like I want to be balanced. I want to do whatever I have to do to win. So here are my 3 goals, and this is where we kind of judge ourselves. No turnovers. We don't want to turn the ball over. And people have said, well, if you don't turn the ball over, you're not trying. Well, that's not how I don't believe that. Okay? I'm trying to not turn the football over. Okay? We don't want to give up big plays for touchdowns, and that really drives what we do defensively. I'm a zone cover 3 guy. All right, because I don't want to give up big plays for touchdowns. It's simple with our cover 3, man. Do not get beat deep first. We'll rally up. And, you know, we don't just play cover 3, but that's kind of our philosophy. We like that deep 3 because we don't want to give up big plays for touchdowns. If they pop a big play, you got to get him down. Because as an offensive coach, how many times you get that ball on the 15-yard line in the red zone and you can't put it in? Get the guy down, live to fight another down. No foolish penalties, man. You know, and kids they do dumb things. They run their mouth. They push after. They try to get in fights. These are stupid penalties. I think jumping off sides is a stupid penalty, whether it be on defense or offense. It's stupid. All right, it's discipline. Okay, we can control those things. Now, there's some penalties you get, maybe a pass interference that maybe is questionable. You're not going to have a game with no penalties. Well, you might once in a while. But no foolish penalties. Do not hurt the team. All right, so then you get into our offense. So our scheme. We're a spread run. We're going to be 20 personnel. That's our base formation. You know, and three wide receivers on the field, two X's type wide receiver bodies. Have a slot guy that can run jet sweep, beat you vertical, those type run bubble screens, all those type of things. But we want to be a spread run, so we want that full. I don't call him an H-back, man. He's a fullback. If he can't block, he ain't playing for me. So that's why I don't like to refer to him as an H-back. Because to me, when you start calling it an H-back, you're saying you're going to catch the ball before you block. I call it a fullback. You know, honestly, I could call it an extra guard. But so we're going to be in the shotgun all the time. Because to me, it's quarterback. He's +1. I like my quarterback to be an athlete, you know, and it's just kind of our offense. The quarterback's got to be an athlete. He's got to be able to run the football because that adds a dynamic that is very hard for the defense to handle. We want to stretch the field vertical. We want to beat you on play action deep, okay? But we're going to run the ball so well that you got to bring all your guys into the box and we're going to beat you deep. We want to stretch the field horizontal. The screen game is wide receiver screen is a big part of what we do. That's our toss sweep. It's just part of our run game, really. We want to play fast. That doesn't mean we're going to play fast all the time, but we want to be able to tempo and get on people. You know, it's like, man, I want to be able to run power as fast as possible. But obviously, we don't want to tempo all game long. Okay? We want to slow it down. We slow it down, but we want that ability. We want to take what the defense gives us. And I talked about that. I don't go into a game thinking I need to be 50-50. I just need to do whatever I need to do to win and whatever you're allowing me to do. In our run game, these are our base plays, okay? And there's a system behind it. Jet sweep and buck sweep, but jet sweep with my guy in the slot, that misdirection, that's our base play, okay? It's not the play that we run all the time, but, man, I'm going to use jet motion 70% of the time, most of the game. I love misdirection. It's kind of played wing T in the high school. I had a great high school football coach in Marty Woolbright in South Carolina. He ran the wing T. I remember as a center going up to block the linebacker, I knew the ball was going to the right, but I would go block the linebacker and he was running the other direction. And I didn't really know why that was happening then because I was just doing my assignment. But now I know he's getting tricked. He didn't know where the ball was. So I really like that. I like misdirection. And then our base play, our identity as a football team is power. We want to run it down your throat. And then we have a quarterback will keep it off that. He could read it, or we could just call it. And then we're a counter team as well. You overload us to the jet sweep side, to the power side, to the strong side. Man, we want to run counter. We also want to be able to bounce that counter if you're spilling your defensive end. We call that seal. We want to be able to run read zone. And then we also want to be able to run power read. Got that defensive end you can't block? Read him. I'd prefer to block him, but read him. All right? And then a great change up for us is buck sweep. You know, it's not something that was part of my football DNA back in 2012 when we won our first state championship. It was jet power counter, different ways to do all that. But, you know, I lost some speed in my slot, but I had quick kids, but I didn't have fast kids. Well, I found out those quick kids could do, they couldn't hit the edge on the jet sweep as fast as I want them to, but they could cut on a dime and cut it back inside. So we started running buck sweep with it, and I'll show you film of that later. But it really added value to what we were doing, and now we do both, you know. And so in our pass game, we love quick screens. We love the sucker off the quick screen, which is, you know, you throw screen, then your slot just runs downfield when the guy faked the screen. Our quick game, you know, we like quick game, quick hitches, back shoulders, fades. All right, I call them slants, slant skinnies. You know, our slant, we want to hit it at about 12. If it's a slant skinny, we want to hit it at about 18. The reason why we call it slant skinny is because we have a skinny that we want to hit at about 40. and then we have our rollout concepts. I'm a big rollout guy because I'm so heavy run. It's hard to get a lot of pass blocking in. Rolling out's easy. I like my quarterback to be an athlete. It's easy for him to roll out. So we're big. Our passing game, third down deals are big in rollout. We'll do three-step pocket concepts, but man, it's not my favorite thing to do. You know, and then play action. That's probably our favorite thing to do, right? We want to run the ball, we want to pound you, so we want to hit you explosively off our play action. Our snap count, I'm a big believer in this, and I think coaches really lose a huge advantage when they don't use snap count to their advantage offensively. We want to have 3 different cadences. We go on quick. We refer that to as green. I don't anymore, but I'm not going to use my real words. Regular, that's red, that's on 1. And then freeze, that's on white. We call that white, that's on 2. Okay, and we do it, we practice it every single day. So here's my deal. I don't think high school coaches, or maybe even college coaches, I don't know, I don't think they do a good job of coaching their defensive linemen on get-offs. I tell our defensive line coach, why would you ever do a drill without a simulated snap count and get-off ball, a simulated ball snap count? Because if you're not, you're just training your kid. What are you training your kid to do? Because the most important thing for what? A defensive lineman. What's the most disruption? How does a defensive line disrupt you? Get off. Okay? Well, if I can, if I don't think that coaches coach get off well, and I think that the players are just going off on 1, all I got to do is freeze them, get them to jump off sides a few times. You paralyze the defensive line. So now you take a Division I defensive lineman you can't block. Well, now he can't get off the ball because he hasn't been trained to get off on the ball. All right, and so he's kind of paralyzed. So that's why you got to use the snap count to your advantage. And if you hurry up, you got to be able to go on quick. So on defense, we're a 3-5-3. Here our key is, man, we're going to be really sound with our alignment. We're going to be really sound with our assignment. We're going to be really sound in our pursuit to the football, and we're going to be as most sound we can be in tackling. You know, tackling is tough because you got to have athletes to tackle. You know, you can't take a bad athlete and teach him how to tackle. And sometimes coaches, we got a team full of bad athletes. You know, well, we can teach them how to line up right, and we can teach them how to do their assignment right, and we can teach them to pursue the football. But my goodness, a bad athlete trying to tackle a good athlete in space is a lose. You're not going to do anything about that. But we're going to work our tails off to coach them. But, you know, that's why I put tackle as 4th. I don't want to focus on tackling. It's all even, but you got to have guys that can tackle. Our run defense, we want an attacking front. We're going to be in base, which is 5-0-5. We're going to slant, and we're going to be in what we call I, which is 4 eyes. You know, that disrupts a power team for sure, disrupts an inside zone team as well. And here's my philosophy on blitzing the quarterback. If you can get to the quarterback with 3 men, why would you blitz? If I got a Division I defensive end and he can sack the quarterback every single time, then why would you blitz? Because I can get there with 3. All right. Well, I can't get there with 3. All right. Bring a 4th. All right. I can't get there with 4. Bring a 5th. But so with my defense coordinators, I tell them, I was like, why would you just start off bringing 6? You got a kid that's a 4-star, 5-star defensive end, and you're bringing 6 guys on a blitz. That really doesn't make any sense. So start off with 3, all right, and then move to 4. Now you got to bring 4 more, and our run stunts usually bring 4. And then if you got to, I mean, you're going to have to go cover 0, bring 6, man, and hold your breath, okay? And then our pass defense is this, cover 3. All right, we want to play cover 3. We want to be able to win a game in cover 3. Well, coach can't stop the RPOs in cover 3. Well, you know, if you're an RPO team, we're going to hold anybody that's removed or around a guy you could do an RPO with. Okay, now, honestly, the best way to defend RPO is cover 0 and cover 1, and we do have that in our arsenal if you're a heavy RPO team. I just have found out that there's not a lot of heavy RPO teams. They do it, but man, for me, I don't see a coach that wants to do it too much. And if we jump in cover 1 or cover 0, when they do want to do it a lot, they'll get out of that RPO stuff. So we'll play cover 3 wide, and basically if you were playing me, you would think it's cover 2, but it's not. We're just playing wide concept, and we're just changing the alignment of our curl flat player. It looks like he's a cover 2 guy, but he's not. We're changing the alignment of our corner. It looks like he's a cover 2 guy, but he's not. He's moving to his 3rd, and the other guy's moving inside. And then that's just a change up for passing teams. And then we could get in completely a cover 2 look, which is really Tampa 2, but it's still cover 3 for us because we just drop our safety down in the hole. and so that gives us a different look for high school football passing game. And then obviously we can get in cover 1. So we want to be in cover 3 all the time, but we realize, hey, you can't, a good team's going to get you. So we have some change ups that we can throw at teams. And that's what we believe in right there. Special teams, here's my philosophy on special teams. You know, on kickoff, that's when they can get you, all right? You're kicking off to their best athletes, and they can score on you. I do not want to give up a touchdown on a kickoff return. And so we're going to put our best players on kickoff, and we're going to spend a lot of time with our kicker. Hopefully he can put it in the end zone, because in Georgia high school football, if you kick in, I think it might end up being all high school football, I don't know. If you kick in the end zone, it goes to the 20. But if you don't have a kid that can kick it to the end zone, I like to pooch kick it to the 25, kick it as high as you can, pooch kick it to the 25. You can use 2-inch tees in high school football. That gets you about 15 to 20, maybe 30 feet extra on your pooch kick, which is critical. And then, so I line up a ball on the right hash, we'll kick it to the left hash as well on about the 35. But we want to be aggressive, but man, we do not want them to score on that. Punt team, same deal. We spend a lot of time on our punt team. We don't want you to score on that. Field goal, we want to be solid. We spend a lot of time at practice with our field goal, those extra points. If you miss them, come back and haunt you. And then punt return. So to be honest with you, punt return and kickoff return, we don't spend a lot of time on. I found this. If I have great athletes, kick it, punt it to them. All right, that's on you. They're going to return it. Heard this story about Deion Sanders. You know, back in the prime time, back in his prime, he used to say at practice. It might be a real story, it might not. But when he was returning punts, he used to tell everybody, just get down, quit blocking, get down, so I can see where the end zone is. Fastest way to the end zone. There's a lot of truth to that. Do we need to set up good returns? Yeah, but man, if you don't have a dude that can return, it ain't gonna happen. All right, and then so field goal block, and that's something we'll put in on Fridays. Bottom line, if you don't have fast guys coming off the edge, or you don't have big brutes up front that can move people, you're not going to block it if the other team's coached well. All right, so we don't want to spend too much time on that. All right, and then faster football a little bit. I'm getting to the details of it. Fanatical eyes and effort. Man, we teach this every single day. You control that. So when I talk about faster football, I'm not talking about my kids are faster than your kids. It's not boasting in that. It's about if my players, and we get these kids to buy into this, if they will play with fanatical eyes and they'll read their guards and they'll do their job and their assignment, they're going to play faster than they would if they didn't have fanatical eyes. And if they'll play with great effort, man, that guy that runs a 4.8, that corner that runs a 4.8 who plays with amazing effort every single down, he's better for you than that kid that runs a 4.5 that does not play with great effort and discipline every single play. So that's a critical thing for us. We're going to attack, and as a foot, that word's for me because I'm very conservative by nature. You know, a lot of people might put their money in the stock market in risky stocks. I'm the opposite, man. I just want the slow growth, you know. I don't want to lose anything. And that's just me. I don't want to go to Las Vegas and gamble. And so that's my personality. But I have attack in there for me because, you know, I've got to pass the ball if they're loading the box. I have to attack. And then defensively, man, we have to turn our front 8 loose. And sometimes we have to get in cover 1 and cover 0 and go get them. That's not me by nature, but sometimes we need to throw those curveballs in there, and I have to talk myself into it. So we want to attack. Simple. Man, I want to keep things simple. I was talking to a coach the other day, the offensive line coach at Troy, and he played in the NFL, and he said this. He's like, you know, I'm not a simple-minded person, but I spend a lot of time analyzing, trying to coach in a simplistic manner. And what he said was, he's like, we got all these concepts. What is the simplest way I can teach it to these guys so they can understand? Because if I'm teaching them too much, because my brain can process it, but their brains can't. And then they're not playing fast. So you got to keep it simple. If you overload your players and you ask them to do things that they cannot do, but you can do it in your mind and you've drawn it up on a piece of paper, you're not going to have success. So we got to make sure we're not doing what our minds can do. We're doing what our players can perform, and we're coaching that every single day. Tough. You know, our kids are going to be tough, man. We're going to start off practice every day during training camp with board drills. How you're going to have to line up and you have to go against your peer in front of all your peers, and you have to go at it. It doesn't matter to us if you win. Okay, it just matters to us if you compete. You're going to be tough. We're going to get after it. Where do you learn toughness? I believe more importantly than the physical prowess you can create in the weight room is the mental toughness that you can create in the weight room. How you're going to come in here and you're going to work out every single day. I don't care if you're tired, you know, because they work out during school, right? Some of them go to bed at 2 o'clock because they're up playing on their phone or doing whatever, playing video games. They're tired, they don't want to work out. No, command your body to go to work. Mental toughness. Execute. I've already talked about execution. We're going to be masters of execution. So that kind of drives how many plays I'm going to run. It kind of drives how many formations I can use. Because, you know, I can run power out of 20 personnel. I can run power out of 21 personnel. I can run power out of 10 personnel. Every time I change the personnel, a little bit of adjustment in how we run power. And the other team's going to adjust too. So I could be in 20 personnel and we're going to be blocking a 3 technique. Well, then I jump in 10 personnel, try to run power, and then they're going to give me a 0 and a 5 technique or a 0 and a 4-eye. Well, that's time at practice you have to spend making sure that your offensive linemen understand this is how we block power with a 3. This is how we block power with a 4-eye. This is how we block power with a 5 and a 0. And then, you know, so they change with 10 personnel. They change with 20 personnel. Then they change with 21 personnel. That's a lot, and that's one play. So that a lot of games, you know, I might have 11 personnel, 10 personnel, 20 personnel, 21 personnel in my arsenal, but I only go into the game with 20 or 10. I only go into the game with 20 and 21 just because it's giving me the looks that I want, because we want to be masters of execution. And that's my philosophy. Doesn't mean it's right. We want to be relentless. We want to be relentless. I think about defense when I say relentless. We want to fly to the ball, this intense love and passion. Now think about it. If I do all those things, we're faster. We're a faster football team. All right? And quickly, you know, we talk about offense as we lead into getting into the details and the roots of our run game. My offense must fit my personality. Your offense must fit your personality. I've been tweaking the offense since 2007, and I came to this. You must be who you are. You can't be somebody else. And so I want to keep things simple. I don't want my kids to mess up. I played offensive line in college. I understand all the different things that an offensive lineman could see. I believe in having a system and perfecting it and tweaking it as necessary. Each year you have different players. You got to tweak what you do to fit your personnel, but you still want to stay kind of in your home base. You don't want to leave what your kids have been practicing their whole entire life. I believe in practicing for perfection. I believe in repetition. I believe in becoming great at what we do. I believe in having a system and working within that system. The simpler things are, the easier it is for me to make adjustments. Okay, you know, like I like to throw the slant skinny. So the slant skinny is working inside the numbers in the hash at 18. I like to throw the back shoulder, or I like to throw the fade. Well, it's real simple, man. So that's three simple things. If the corner's lining up inside leverage, we're going to throw the back shoulder. If the corner is lined up outside leverage and they've rolled to cover 3, but he's outside leverage, then we're going to throw the slant skinny. We're going to work inside of him. If they're playing cover 0, we're going to try to hit the skinny post. These are easy things for my eyes to see. If I go into the game with 20 different route concepts, this is just me. I'm a simple-minded person. I can't reach into that tool bag. But if I go into a game with, hey, if they do this, I do this. If they do this, I do this. If they do this, I do this. And it's a short little deal, I can have success. And my players can have success because they understand it as well. Balance. I want to run the football, but I prepare to run and pass. In the state championship last year, they played cover 0, they loaded the box, and they shut our run game down. In the state semifinals, we had rushed for 500 yards. In the first half of the state championship game, we didn't score a point, and we hadn't rushed for 30 yards. So we had tried to pass, we weren't completing it. I go to halftime, I said, guys, we got to throw the football, okay? I wish we could run the football. We got to throw the football. So we come out and we throw for 250 yards in the second half, and we win the game, score 48 points in the second half, 43. And so we got to do what we got to do, okay? And, so semifinals, we rush for 500 yards and we throw for 30. In the state championship game, I think we ended up rushing for 200 and we threw for 250. So that's what it's all about. Take care of the football. Every single day in practice, we do ball security drills. Now, we just scrimmaged last night. We fumbled twice. Okay, we need to do more ball security drills. We got to take care of the football. Our goal as an offense is to not turn the football over. I don't want my quarterback taking chances with the ball, and that's why I'm very reluctant with RPOs, because I don't like the game to go from my hands to his hands. Now, if I was in the NFL and I had Nick Foles and he's smarter than me, maybe so, okay? But in high school football, that's not the scenario most of the time. And we're going to be great at running the football, so I don't have time to work all these RPOs. And now we do a few, but they are simple, and we'll talk about that later. Tempo. We talked about tempo already. We want 3 different cadences. Okay, we want to be able to go fast on first down. We want to be able to go on regular, which is off of jet motion. Then we want to be able to go on 2, and we want to be able to freeze them. We can slow it down as necessary. In practice, we practice 1,000 miles an hour, not slowing down, because it's easy to be able to play fast and slow down, but if you don't practice fast, you can't play fast. Jet motion. All right, so I'm always using jet motion. Why? I like misdirection. How can I mess with the defensive eyes? I want that safety looking in the backfield. I want whether the linebacker's keying my quarterback or my tailback, when I put a third guy in there, he might be reading the guards, but when I flash somebody through there, if his eyes shift just a little bit, he slows down. So it messes with their responsibilities, limits the calls a defense can make. They got to spend all week long trying to handle how you going to handle the jet sweep. Well, usually there's only one answer. All right, well, by the time the first quarter's done, you know what the defense is running. They can't be multiple because they got to stop your jet sweep, and it's unique. All right, and they practice a certain way all week long, so we know what they're doing by the second quarter, and then we can make the calls necessary. Stresses a defense during the week, which I just talked about. It's easy for us. We just run hard outside zone, man. Everybody turn and run, and we work the guard tackle a lot, but on the backside, it's center guard tackle, turn and run. I'll talk more about that later. All right, more on the jet motion. We do a fast period every single day. People come to me, how do you get the timing right? Because we don't pitch it, we hand it. Because I like the tailback's eyes. I don't want his eyes on the jet guy. I call him the jet guy. He's a slot. I like his eyes on the hole. I don't want his eyes on the ball, and then he has to look to the hole. I think he'll probably drop the ball in my world. We practice it all the time. We practice it all the time. It's part of what we do. All day long. So, formations. We believe in formations. We use 20, We use 30, and that's when I put my jet guy in the stack, 10, 21, and 11. And then, so our bread and butter is we want to run the ball so well that they overcommit to the run and we have easy passes. We want them to load the box, bring everybody down, get all the eyes on the run, and then boom, we beat them deep. And then they back off, and now we got our run game. So if you say, who are you? Who is your DNA? Well, run power. Okay, we run power. We run it up off the B gap. We run it in the C gap. We can run it. We can fake the power in the quarterback, keep it into C gap or D gap. Just different ways we run power. Counter, to me, all it is counter to the opposite side. I mean, it's power to the opposite side. Okay, so I love that physicalness of football. And in high school football, it's hard to run zone, I think, because you don't always have huge offensive linemen. You see zone in the NFL because you got 350-pound offensive linemen, and they're just leaning on, inside zone anyways, they're just leaning on guys vertically, and that running back, he's finding a crease. Well, in high school football, man, I might have years where I have 250-pound linemen across the board. I also have years where my guard's 180 pounds and my left tackle's 175 pounds. So to me, it's easy to teach those guys angles and get on hips and drive, but they can't inside zone block. They're going to get run over. It's a change-up for us. It's a curveball, but it's kind of not in our DNA. Quick screens. We want to run the bubble in the screen, which I talked about already. And then the vertical game. And then we talked about that as well, which I'm going to get into detail later. We want to play action you and beat you deep because you creeped up trying to stop our runs. Our complements to these, inside zone, like I talked about. It's something we work on, because if we got to get in spread and you're stopping everything we do, we'll run inside zone. I work it every single week, but this year we didn't run it one time. Cut, which is our buck sweep. It's what we called it a few years ago. It's our buck sweep. It's not what we hang our hat on, but man, you start spilling your defensive end to stop our power, then we're going to use buck sweep to our advantage with our tailback and with our speed sweep. We'll run ISO if you're a 4-3 cover team, 4-3 spilling team. We're going to run ISO instead of counter because it's just, if you're going to spill, you can't run counter, so we'll work on ISO that week. To me, it's just counter though. And then each week we might scheme something up, just one thing. Usually those don't work. I'll scheme something up and it doesn't work. But I always do it. It's like I know not to do it and I do it anyway. So we do that, and I guess it makes things fun. And then you just think about this, man. Where are my holes in the secondary? Like last night, we're playing in the spring game, and it's like I told you, the safety roll. So I had called back shoulder. And we've run fade once, so I just call back shoulder. We call it, hey, we're going to run back shoulder. And the corner moved to play outside leverage, and the safety rolled up to play inside, and he was playing cover 3, like a cover 3 curl flat technique because he's trying to stop the run. And then the safety rolled over because we'd already hit him on a back shoulder and already hit him on a fade, so he's playing outside leverage. Check, check, check. And then we run slant skinny, score a touchdown because they gave us the inside. So just look for the holes in the secondary. Keep it simple. You cannot see the holes in the secondary if you have a burdensome passing game concept. And even aired out Tony Franklin guys, their passing game is simple. All right, they're looking for those holes as well. I'm going to keep referring back to our practice schedule because here's the deal. Practice is so critical to Friday nights. And so here's our Monday practice schedule, and I'm just going to show it to you because I think you got to have an organized practice schedule, and I think it needs to be consistent. That's me. And so you can kind of see how we structure practice on Monday. And there's a rule of thought out there, all right, man, you got to get out there, you got an hour and a half, get off the field. Well, colleges are doing that because they study film for 50 minutes, they go to practice, they only play one position, and then they come back in and watch film for 50 more minutes. All right, and they're Division I athletes that these high school coaches are college coaches are coaching. Our guys aren't that way, man. So we got to practice a long time. And a good coach, Zach Davis, I was listening to a podcast he did the other day. He's in West Virginia. He worked with me. We worked together for a while. He said, it takes what it takes. So man, we go till 7 o'clock on Monday and Tuesday, 3:45 to 7. We got to get it all done. At my school, we're a single A school. We got about 60 players out each and every year. We hope to find 22 varsity players that can play. But here's the deal: 11 on offense, 11 on defense. But if you're a 1 on offense, you're a 2 on defense. If you're a 1 on offense, you're a 2 on. If you're a 1 on defense, you're a 2 on offense. So we got to practice both ways. So practice goes longer. Also, I don't have but so many coaches, and I have JV players. I want them to win. I have to find time to coach those guys during practice. And I have to use, my varsity coaches have to coach the JV. So you tell me how you get all that done in an hour and a half. We can't, and I'm not going to sacrifice the development of my young guys, and I'm also not going to sacrifice the development of my backups. So we got to practice both ways. So here's how we do it, man. We practice 25 minutes, take a 5-minute break. Practice 25 minutes, take a 5-minute break. We go to 7. It's just twice a week, Monday and Tuesday. All right, and I'm going to keep referring back to this as I get into the nuts and bolts of our offense. And I think you got to have a script when you go to practice. You can't go out there and wing it. You got to have a script. What am I going to work on today? What have I seen on Sunday afternoon that I feel like is going to, and Monday that in your preparation time that where we can attack. And so you got to have a script, and you got to go over those plays. So this is our Monday script, and these are all the plays that we run on offense, and it's a lot, okay? But, you know, we practice fast, and so we want to, and during team time, we want to run 70 plays. Tuesday practice schedule right here, similar, man. It's going to be a long day. It's more pass focused, both defense and offense. We're going to be a little more pass focused on Tuesday, making sure we're getting everything right there. And so here's the script on Tuesday. If you really looked in here, you see a lot of passing. Okay, so for me on Tuesday, we're going to do our inside zone. We're going to do our power read, and that's all the run game, and everything else is pass. On Monday, everything was run, maybe some screens. And then here's our schedule on Wednesday. So they get an easy day on Wednesday, even though it's intense. And here they get that hour and 45-minute practice. We'll go from 3:20 to 5:10. It's going to be intense. We're going to get after it. And we call it Game Day Wednesday. So we do scale, set 36 plays in scale for our defense, and then our defense runs 48 plays, 4 quarters we call it. 1s go 8, 2s go 4. All right, and it's rapid fire, man. We're trying to get those plays done in 25 minutes. And they got to run and they got to move, and we film it. We're going to watch it the next day. Offensively, I script 80 plays. And we try to run 80 plays in 40 minutes, a play every 30 seconds. And usually we get it done. And, man, it's just boom, 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 boom. 2s are rotating in there. I have no idea who's in, who's not. They better know what they're doing. They better get it done, and we're going to coach it up on film. Here's our script. So this will be a Tuesday. This will be a Wednesday, Game Day Wednesday script from me. Okay, a lot of plays in there. I might not get to the right and left rip and Liz passing game stuff because I might run out of time. I got 40 minutes. I promised the kids that. So that's what I use Thursdays for. On Thursdays, we do a third down scenario. We're getting all those things in. I go back, review our passing game. Don't want to spend too much time on it because I don't want to wear them out, but I get that done. If I didn't get it done on Wednesday, I will get it done on Thursday. Thursday is a walkthrough, not too intense. Don't take it that seriously. Red zone situations, short yardage, third down, play action. All right, and then put it all together, okay? Put it all together. All that week, it comes together right here. Okay, and this is I think this is something from maybe 2015. So here's my script. But man, I've been working on it all week. I really don't even need to hold this in my hand on Friday night as I call plays, because as you do it during the week, you practice it, you watch film. You practice it, you watch your film of yourself doing it. You practice it, you watch. It's already in your head. I have this as a go-to, but I don't always have to have it in my hand. So that's kind of our overarching offensive philosophy. And now in the next session, I'm going to get really into our run game with some film and talk about that.